Welcome to the Geek Freaks Podcast, your go-to destination for answers to the most crucial business technology questions every business owner needs to hear. With me, as not always, but as most of the time, Thomas Darrington. How are you, Thomas?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thanks. Getting over my own virus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got over mine. I've stopped coughing. It's great.
I have not stopped coughing yet. So, you and I started talking about this last week, and I know that we were supposed to record a podcast, and we got sick. Or I got sick.
It happens.
So 2020, year of sickness. I think it really has to break down. What we're trying to break down today is what the actual expenses are when you do get attacked with ransomware, right? So everybody says, "Oh, I got cyber liability. It's not a big deal." Well, it's a big deal because there's a lot of other costs indirectly tied to this attack.
Right. Yeah, I was actually very surprised about all the numbers behind that.
Like how much money you're spending?
Yeah. Like I didn't think that people actually ended up having to spend so much for a ransomware attack.
On average, last quarter is $41,329.
Which is crazy to me.
But that's just to pay the hackers.
Right.
Just to pay the attackers.
And then you might not still even get your data back.
Yeah, so just outside of that cost, right? So you get ransomware, you have it, you now you have to either pay for it or restore. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have a proper, either one is downtime, but if you don't have a proper restore process, it could take a long time.
Yeah, it could take a real long time.
So the other indirect cost that you got to think of is downtime.
Right.
So now it's forced, right? We can't do anything about it. Nobody can work. Everything's crypto lockered up.
Right, all your stuff's locked up. You're just sitting there.
So the direct cost would be the $43,000 that you got to pay to get it unlocked. And if you now there's no guarantee they're going to unlock it, right? That's the whole big thing too.
Right, that's correct, and that's the part that's crazy to me is that people will pay that and then rely on these people who already attacked them to be true to their word. And I was reading that price has gone up for certain types of ransomware to $288,000.
What?
Which is nuts. That's why the average is increased so much, is because, there's a new group that's doing it that just charge almost $300,000.
What I think is crazy is how much money they're getting paid, right? So you got Baltimore that spent millions of dollars. Yeah. Some local companies spent millions of dollars to try to get paid to get out of this.
Right.
But again, there's no guarantee. They're not nice people to begin with.
No.
So I guess indirect cost would be downtime. So now you can't work. You're not servicing your customers. You have staff sitting around.
Still got to pay your employees.
So, yeah. Excuse me. So I guess the second biggest thing out of that is going to be the reputation too, right? Because now you have to tell your customers our data's been breached, we've been breached, and we're locked up.
We're not going to be able to service you as quickly because we're still getting back on our feet, all this stuff. And
I mean, if you walk through it, right, and let's say you're for lack of better terms, you're an insurance agency and you get crypto locker and your stuff's on site, you can't service anybody.
Correct.
Because the only thing that's not affecting is your phone system.
Correct.
Essentially, hopefully.
It's possible, though, that it could.
You're right.
If you're using a VoIP.
So then now we were learning, too, about the variation of ransomware that goes into the backups and sits there and then detonates at a certain set of time to ruin your backups.
Yeah.
Have you seen the articles about that?
I have, and that was actually very surprising as well. The shadow copy destruction is just, it's nuts. Like, it just prevents you from being able to do anything.
So as you go through this process even further, so now we've been crypto lockered, whatever the case is, whatever this variance is. So now we're paying them to get the encryption key, the de-encryption key, let's say.
Right.
Then now we have to deal with the lack of downtime with our employees.
Right.
I mean, if we had to do it here, it'd be 15, 16 people sitting around twiddling their thumbs.
Just waiting for it to get taken care of.
Yeah. So then from there, you have the reputation. So now you have to notify your customers. I guess my other The other big thing would be the liability of it. What did they get if they got anything before they encrypted? Did they take anything?
Right.
Now you have to explain that and hope that nothing gets out there.
Right. All the potential data breach issues. Yeah.
That's the other thing. I think that goes untalked about, right? We always talk about preparing or, stopping it. But once it happens, it's who knows?
Right.
Especially with the way that the things are coming in now. I mean, we see a lot of them come in via email, but now they're coming in from Facebook. They're coming in from other websites that you may go to every day through code injections.
Yeah, yeah. And it's, I don't know, it's interesting because you'll see like the notes that they send that says, hey, your data's been encrypted. And then one of the notes that I was reading said, don't send us any like personal information or any like important documents or anything. Just send us these random documents that are encrypted and we'll show you that we can unencrypt them. So they like do it on like a good faith kind of thing. Like we'll show you, but then you still have no guarantee.
Well,
right?
I guess it'd be bad for business, right? So
Right.
you got that one variant that you're not decrypting. That's bad for business.
Right.
If you got to do it so you can get the money, so then you can get the reputation of, these guys are the ones that
they're
pay.
serious,
I mean, I
yeah.
guess they're taking Bitcoin though, so you can't track it down. You can't do anything with it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just nuts.
So I guess the other thing that we all have to realize as people that work in tech and the people that use tech is it's not going to change. It's not going to get better. It's not going to, they're not going to stop. So
Right.
we have to then cover every avenue we can
Right.
of, protection. So the way we do things is we protect at the edge with the firewall. Then we have SentinelOne on the machines. And then we have all the fanciness on the firewall that
Right.
does all the packets. But besides that, somebody could actually just bring it in
Right.
from
It's
another
about
device.
customer education as well.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that the employees are not clicking the links or not responding to things that seem fishy. So,
Well, that goes, it's a perfect example of what happened a couple of weeks ago. We had somebody that gave up their Office 365 stuff and didn't say anything for 10 days.
right.
Like I get, and that's the users get shamed, they feel bad. There's emotion tied to that when you
Right.
make a mistake like that. And I think people need to understand if something happens like that, they need to immediately address it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the faster we can get to it, the faster it just stops. There's no concern.
So now we've been crypto lockered.
Mm-hmm.
We now have the loss of reputation because we're telling all our customers. Then we have the downtime of our staff. What's the restore process look like on any of this?
So if you're relying on them, they have to provide the decryption key and go through their process to decrypt your files.
And I'm imagining that's not fast.
It's not. It also often has like a 50% success rate, which is not great
I guess it's
for
better.
all your really important files.
Yeah, I guess it's better from starting from scratch though.
If you get, if you have a really good team on your side, though, that has a good defense in place, they've got your backups offsite or separate from being able to get cryptoed. And then instead of having to go through that process at all, you can just restore. You might lose a day of work.
And I think that's something to think about too. So if you are backing up your system and it is on the network, it's legitimately on the network, and that machine can be seen by the network. It can also be crypto lockered,
Right.
or ransomware, whatever. I keep saying crypto locker because it was the first one,
Right.
but it can be infected. And I think people tend to overlook that as an issue.
Right.
Well, if your backups get encrypted, you can't restore.
Yeah.
End of story.
Or if they get destroyed, like we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah. It's only going to get more complicated, and it's only going to get more of a money making. These people have to be making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
It's just, there was a hospital where it got, I think it was before I say the state, I'm going to be wrong, so I'm not going to say it. There was a hospital that got crypto lockered, and patients, there was real world ramification for patients because they could not access chart information because everything's electronic in a hospital. So
I know the city of New Orleans also got attacked. And
Yeah, oh yeah.
Their whole infrastructure was shut down. Like,
I want to say they spent millions of dollars.
yeah, a lot of money and a lot of government time just to get files backed up and get everything restored.
Well, and I think that it goes a little bit further to think that, this is as it should be in the front of people's minds that this is a real world issue and it's impacting everything every day. If you don't have a good spam filter or a good education wrapped around these emails that are coming in, or education wrapped around like, hey, you should probably run something by somebody before you click it or enter in your Office 365 information.
Right.
Like there's things that you can do as a business owner or even as a worker to stop this threat, because it's not foolproof. It can come in, like I was saying, it can come in from an attachment from another email account that maybe you trust, and they just, whatever the case is, they're in.
A miscellaneous USB that you found lying on the ground.
Oh, that's brutal. I bet people do that too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why they're doing it and how they're doing it, right? So you and I ran across an interesting article based on basically ransomware as a service.
This was insane to me. I know everything's being provided as a service now, but to think that like the negative sides of the internet are being provided as a service, I don't know. I was just very surprised.
I don't think I'm as surprised as I am I guess not, like it's no, I would assume it is.
Well, for me, the surprise wasn't that it existed.
Yeah.
It was how organized it was.
Oh, yeah.
How professional.
Yeah, it's like
it
Amazon.
Was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like they have packages. They have like costs associated with the packages. They have
undetectableness. What was the other one that you and I were talking about? Claims to be fully undetectable are misleading, only indicate two possible anti-detection capabilities.
Right.
However, none of these avoidance techniques give the ransomware true FUD capabilities. So, like, it's scary to me. I mean, I've had people ask me, like, why do you think they're doing it? They're doing it for money. There's no other reason to do it.
No. They sell it as a service, and then those people who take that and make their own little package of delivery then get their, X amount of money back.
So you go to this website and you say, I want this ransomware. I want this variant of it. Maybe it's a new one that's not hit everything yet. Mm-hmm. So then you, Thomas, purchase this. You put it in your PayPal. You buy it. Now you have a fully accessible ransomware toolkit.
Correct.
So then now you're
fully customized to how I want it delivered, to what I want attached, to what I want it to do.
So then you have to figure out a way to deliver it.
Yep.
So then that's either via email or script on a website.
Yep.
And so once you've delivered it, now you own the decryption tool. So now the money is going into an account that I'm assuming that you've set up.
That's correct. Yep.
So not only, it's not like Russia or China or whatever. It's anybody.
Yeah.
It can be me,
Steve
you.
down the street, Yeah.
And I think that's crazy to think that it's so accessible and easy to get to.
Right.
I think that's the most shocking part. It's not shocking that there's an as a service for it,
Sure.
but it's shocking me and you could just dial it up and be like, here we go, we're making viruses
and how like I don't want to say it's reasonable because it seems weird to talk about, but how reasonably priced it was.
Does it show the pricing?
It does for one of the services, and it wasn't like the most foolproof, like this is the best service, but it was still, they offered a lot, and their high-end package.
$349.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up for $349 for a gold account to get a virus? You can get a diamond account for $895 a month.
Yeah.
But really, that's not that much money when you're charging $42,000 to restore. You hit gold once, maybe it's paying.
Now, some of these have like caps because the people providing the service still have like an in with them. So there's a cap on how much they can actually like make off of it.
So, okay. So you buy a virus, you deploy it, I get it, I have a bank, whatever the case is, and now it's going to cost me $50,000.
Yeah.
So then this company now is going to be like, okay, I'm going to take a percentage of your $50,000.
Yeah.
Holy it's very complicated. It's not just
really
like
is.
Tommy in the basement writing a script and here we go.
But it's also simple in the fact that I can just go to this site and just do it.
But now you're just doing it to be a bad actor.
Right.
You're not doing it for, I guess you're going to make some money, but you're not going to be getting rich.
Yeah, so you pay for the service and then they get a little bit of a cut. But then in the end, they were saying that the total net profit for one person was like $10,000 to $12,000
Per attack.
Per
successful attack.
Correct.
Holy
there's a
smokes.
cap on how many people it can affect. So it's offered just like any other type of software. So it's like 50 people, you're the bare bottom, or up to 250 people if you want to buy the diamond subscription.
So that's based on your threat plane there.
Correct.
That's crazy to me.
But you have to have a really good additional plan for that bulk, because they're going to spend a lot more money trying to get back at you than that smaller group. They're just going to try to pay it and get it taken care of.
So you can buy the Ghostly Locker for $3.99 a month. You get a dashboard. You get unlimited bills, builds,
Yep.
offline encryption, custom disk encryption, custom file encryption, and you get 24/7 support. Holy, it's a business,
It's
baby.
a business, exactly. It sounds like we're advertising it, but it's just.
I think we are kind of advertising it, but we're doing it so people understand that it's not like a Russian guy behind a keyboard doing all this nefarious stuff that everybody wants us to believe. It's anybody.
Which is that's the part that just blows my mind.
Oh yeah, that's crazy to me.
It's so organized. It's so easily accessible. Is you still have to know a little bit.
Oh, you got to get on that dark web.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I guess if we're going to take anything away from this, it's that you have to have the proper protection.
Correct.
You have to have the proper things in place. So if you get crypto lockered or locked or encrypted, whatever the variant is going on, ghostly or whatever it is, you should have a backup disaster recovery plan in place.
Correct. With
yourself or your provider or whoever's handling your IT stuff.
Yep.
What's the first thing that we have to restore? What gets us back to serving our customers quicker? How big are these files? How long is this going to take? You have to test all this stuff so you know what's going on. But the other key indicator that doesn't get a lot of play and a lot of love is just traditional antivirus. Now,
right, absolutely.
It's not going to stop everything. We use SentinelOne, which is an EDR, so it's considered a next-gen antivirus that learns, so we don't have the waiting time of traditional antivirus. But I think everybody should invest a little bit of money and time into learning what their security practices are and what their restoration practices are. I mean, it's not going to stop.
No, not at all.
And we're coming.
And it's getting more complicated while also being more easily accessible.
So it's only going to get worse.
Correct.
It's going to be no different than spam at some point where it's
Spam's
happening.
getting kind of clever too. So
well, that's how they're getting in, right? So they have to use some type of way to facilitate what's going on.
Yep.
There was another thing I wanted to touch on this list. Man, to me this is mind-numbing how easy this is.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you mentioned, we use SentinelOne, and I guess I'm going to rep us a little bit, but the SentinelOne that we use actually has pretty advanced detection for that stuff. I was reading a little bit about it from those articles, and it was just talking about how it detects, like, for example, the shadow copy deletion.
Yeah.
Like, it prevents that immediately. So it will detect any changes that are happening to shadow copy and then lock that down.
Yeah, I mean, it's different in the way that it's not going to let it run and be like, oh, you're doing bad stuff after you ran for a bit. You've been doing bad stuff, so you got to stop. No, it's going to stop it dead in its tracks. That's why we switched to it.
Right.
I mean, it's expensive, but it's worth its weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other thing that you and I were sending articles back and forth was cyber liability insurance. You know, some people just like, I don't care, I got cyber liability insurance, it's going to pay off. But I think the thing that we need to understand is it's not going to in every instance.
That's the thing that I find a little depressing about the whole situation is you pay all this money, and with all this expectation that it's going to be covered, all your time loss is going to be covered, any data loss is going to be covered, and then you find out that one little thing was out of place, and it just wipes your whole thing out.
So I guess, and I'm not the person to speak on this, so I could be completely wrong, but this is what I've been reading, is that if your ducks aren't in a row for certain things, then that cyber liability insurance policy is not going to pay out in full or pay out at all.
Correct.
So people are under the guise of, I got cyber liability policy, nothing can happen to me, and I think it's just a falsehood. It's just more of I got something else. And hopefully it pays off, but
it's like extra security, but
it's
I'm
like
doing air quotes right now, but yeah, it's it's any insurance policy. They're going to do their best to protect themselves while also, they're going to try to help you with your interest, but if you're not doing the things properly that they outline for you, they're not going to cover it.
No, and I think that people need to look at look at your policy, make sure the stuff is covered. That's great, but also look at what you're doing.
Right.
Are you getting training? Do you have the proper things put in place? Antivirus, a nice firewall, a nice backup schedule, something off-site. They're very inexpensive, very, very inexpensive. I think you can do a backup plan now through some of the smaller providers for a couple $100 a month.
Really?
Yeah, but it's more personal side. When you get in a business, it gets a little expensive. I mean, who's not to say you're not going to get CryptoLocker at home?
Right.
At the other, whatever, ransomware.
All those family photos and everything just getting wrapped up.
I couldn't imagine what would happen if I got something at home.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's connected. I got that NAS, wedding photos, kid photos, everything on there. It would be gone. And I don't have backups of it.
Right, which would suck.
See you later, alligator. I'd have to pay the money. I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of misinformation out there, and we're probably not helping it because we're probably not experts in this arena. But
sure.
I think it's a high time and it's a change. 2020 is a new year. I think everybody needs to look from a security side of it to say, what am I doing? What makes sense? What doesn't make sense? And go from there.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't.
We can at least start a discussion on it.
Yeah.
And then have people think about it, read some articles for themselves.
And I think it's got, now that it's having real world implications, I can't talk. Implications. Jeez. Implications that it's starting to be like a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Boston had a big ransomware. New Orleans had a big ransomware. Local cities around us had ransomware. One of the local companies went out of business.
Yeah.
Because they're like, the insurance company will take care of it. But then the insurance company couldn't. And now they're facing federal charges because a bunch of PHI could have been exposed. There's so many things to think about. And it's not just what I was gonna say a silver spoon, but that's not the case. Like one size fits all solution.
Sure.
It's not. It's just you have to do so many things to make sure you're covered.
You really have to be invested in your cybersecurity.
Yeah, I think
yourself
to a point. You have to be, no matter how big your company is, or no matter how big your house is, or whatever the case is. You got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing, and it costs a ton of money. $400 or $42,000 to get decrypted right now.
And that's just the average. Like I said, there's some people that are $288,000.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
and that's out of your pocket.
Yeah, there's no way.
No,
they wouldn't go after they're not like looking to get into my house, but
you don't know, man.
So yeah,
you can click on that link and get it. Now me that made that virus that I bought offline, now I've encrypted you. I'm about to make some cheese.
Watch all my links from you now.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that the more people talk about it, and the more they're aware that it is, a multi-pronged situation. It's not just it's coming in email, it's coming in jump drives, it's coming in websites, it's coming in scripts, it's coming in anywhere. Physical things now, like you said, back to the jump drives. You can go to an event, grab a jump drive.
Yeah, they're just handing them out all over the place.
I mean, I'd take them.
I work for X company. Here you go.
Yeah. No, it's not good out there. So, in conclusion, everybody, CYA, get a backup, off-site backup, get an antivirus that's going to do its job. Make sure your spam filter's tuned in. Don't click on links you don't know. Yeah. Don't put your credentials in websites that don't seem to be up to snuff, because it's going to happen.
Yeah. And if you have an IT guy and you just don't know, ask him.
Yeah. Don't hesitate to have that conversation. And if you don't have one and you want to ask questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, because we are lucky enough to have a lot of great tools in our tool set here, and that can help somebody out. So. Yeah. Any parting shots on ransomware before I go out and purchase it and ransomware your house?
Please don't.
Okay. Well, since you said please, I guess I won't. No, it's scary, man. Yeah. All right, nothing we can do about it. All right.
Watch those links.
Yeah. Do you know? So the Microsoft released a new rule for Office 365 because people were whitelisting malicious senders.
Really?
So now they just basically released a statement saying you can whitelist it, but we're still not going to let it through.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, cool. Well, everybody have a good day. Thanks for listening. This is the Geek Freaks Podcast. Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you.